Welcome to It's Too Hot Out Here One Man Garage. Stuff to do, but really ain't doing it. Like this gearbox that came out of the 70 Bonneville from season 1 of Nobody Watched It on One Man Garage. We're a part of the 70 Bonneville. That's the variable ratio, which is the quick gearbox. Decided I want to use it on the 69 Firebird, replace the original variable ratio quick box, which should be identical other than the pitman arm. So gonna do the easy off oven cleaner, get the water hose going because my peppers are dying. Now they're just frowning because it's hot, but I gotta water them, so gonna do both. Well, it was foamy, but it all dried up because it's, 120 degrees. I don't know. But heavy duty original easy off's always been the go-to for engine parts, blocks, stuff, whatever, quick and easy, melts away a lot of stuff, cleaning up the handle and leaves a paintable surface as well. Might flip it over and do the other side. I forgot I bought dollar store brand, but it seems to be working. It's not sandblasting, but it's good enough to not be filthy to put it on the car. Of course, I'm not using those hoses. Just save the return line little stub end part there. That's the only part we'll reuse. You can always wire brush, that kind of stuff too. So you need a 1 5/16 half drive socket to do the pitman arm nut. Just saying. But mine is actually a 3/4 drive, so maybe that's after 1 1/4 and you go bigger, that's when it's 3/4. So I got a 3/4 to half drive reducer. And then I had ground this because I was doing some gears. Maybe it was on a 9 1/4 Dodge pickup. I don't remember, but I had to clearance it to get it to fit in the yoke to get the pinion nut or something. I don't know, it's been a while. Piece of cake. I have to go get my puller to get that off. Pitman arm puller. GM guys, at least I can speak. There's so much steering gear box interchange. You just got to get the puller, man, because you can use an S10 manual steering box on a 63 Catalina, as long as you have the Catalina manual pitman arm. And your power steering pitman arm's different than a manual pitman arm, and the pitman arms are specific to the chassis. But there's a huge range of Saginaw gearboxes that work. Of course, the later power steering ones went to tube, O-ring, or whatever in metric. So if you go like 80s to a 60s, you're going to have the different power steering fittings. But it still weighs around all that. Look at that. Well, it's the next day, folks. I went, it's still hot, just not hardly doing anything. But Tinker's feeling good. I woke him up. She's 15 this year, so she won't be around much longer. Anyway, this is the power steering gearbox I was going to put in the Firebird, and it's not the original. But we need this pitman arm, even though it's awfully dang close to the same as the Bonneville one. In both applications, use the gearbox placement behind the cross member. We kind of call it rear steer. And but whatever, we're going to use this one. This gearbox, I think, is a WS6 79 Trans Am box. It's a real quick box, but it has limiters in the for the wheel travel. And this one, the Bonneville one, like I said, I counted the rotations, and it's like 2 3/4 or 2.8 or something. It's less than 3 turns lock to lock. If you were to look at the standard 60s power steering, it's like 3.5 or 4 or something like that. So, but this one I think is 2.5. It's a quicker box, but when we traded the Formula Firebird 78 for the 69 to my buddy Ronnie, the 78 had the standard gearbox, and I think this is the quicker box, and it had a leak anyway that needs fixed. I don't think he's fixed yet, so we'll probably just let him take this box back and have a quicker ratio and a box that doesn't leak, and that'll be nice. So we're just going to pull the pitman arm off of this one, put it on this one, but we're not putting it on right now. We're going to leave it off to get the gearbox installed, because when I was trying to put this one in with the headers and stuff on the car, I was having a hard time quite getting it where it needed to be to bolt it up. So we're going to bolt this in without the pitman arm, get the steering shaft reconnected, then we'll do the pitman arm. So that's key. So I'm not going to video pulling this off. It's the same as what we just did yesterday. Well, at least that came off easy. We're going to let Ronnie know it's ready for him, but I'm going to carry this over to the car and the pitman, or that pitman arm, over to the Firebird. Well, I got that busted high pressure hose off and left the stub for the return. Hopefully that stub won't interfere with the install, so I might end up pulling that off. It just seemed tight, and I was like, well, I don't really need to remove it, so we'll see what happens. Day 3 of too damn hot to get anything done. Update: the gearbox I took that I was going to put on the car that actually was stuck and wouldn't turn over, that I thought was a 79 Trans Am box. I guess I never had turned it to see the ratio. It actually, by the codes and the date code, that's the 346th day of 68 versus this 90th day of 1970 Bonneville one that I pulled off the car myself that's still going on the Firebird. This is the actual original gearbox for the Firebird. It needs to be gone through because I think it got rained in when it sat without a motor 20 years ago, and it got stuck because the water got in the holes. So, but that's still good news. So I'm kind of excited about a future build of teardown and build of this box. Never done that. I think I ought to be able to handle it. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. So the car was built in early January of 69 rather. So like the missing original engine and transmission would have been dated like December, more or less. So anyway, that's what's going on. I don't think I'm going to crawl under the car and try to put this one in today, though. I don't know yet. I'll have to decide that here in a bit. Also doing a pitman arm comparison. They're very similar looking, but this number here that ends in 616 is the correct 69 Firebird power steering pitman arm, and this 70 Bonneville one is slightly different. On top there's a slightly different length, so I'm gonna throw that in the scrap metal pile because I don't foresee ever needing that, or at least not to confuse. So we're gonna leave this one next to the box, but we're not gonna put it on till the box is bolted to the frame so I can get it past the headers. Hey everybody, day 3 on the Turd Bird. No, that's not the project's name. We probably should never repeat that, Turd Bird. Maybe we will. And it'll be renamed when it's without turds. Well, anywho, I had to pull the header off completely to get the dang gearbox in there. Of course, it's a lot easier once that's out of the way. But it's got the bolt started and even got the column and the gear lined up. You know, I got the travel of the gearbox nearly centered and went right up to the locked column. So I think that's actually synced up. So we're just gonna We're only on setting 2 out of 4 gigawatts. That should suffice. Did I say this was day 3 or 4? It's too damn hot. But at least we're in the shade of the garage over here, so not in the sun, that helps. Well, got the master cylinder off too to get it out the way, because we're going to be putting a power brake booster back on the car, because this, in its hot rod phase, was converted from automatic and power disc brakes and power steering. It was converted to manual steering and manual disc brakes and a 4-speed. So there's also a little boot bracket under there I need to get off that's from the old 4-speed conversion. And once the booster's on, I'll have to build or source a couple brake lines, one of them that was cut up because there was a line lock on the car for the track. So I just need to snug up the steering column, little rag joint, and then probably get the header back on, I guess. Turd Bird's a roller. Turd Bird's a roller. The Turd Bird no more. We must have a proper name for this machine that will be going soon. Let's call it Ron Burgundy, since it was an original Burgundy car. You know, Ron Burgundy and the Catalina Wine Mixer. Yeah, that'll work.